such an asshole.
Hello, children. That is the chef. Hello, children. Three dog. Hello, children. Ow, ow, ow. Three dog. Those are two different black people. Stop being racist. All of you. But can you really stop being racist because you were just born that way? Now give us money. See how simple communism is? Alex tuning in, hopefully, on this one. We have a question about trucking, so I do hope that Alex, if he's not live, he will make a comment down below. So I'm going to take my best stab at this from a financial standpoint and experience standpoint, working in banking. But I'm sure Alex has much more insight than I do, and hopefully some other truckers out there might provide some insight. This is from Anonymous. Well, you wrote a lot. Long-time listener, first-time consulting, other than the odd super chat here or there. Keep me anonymous. All right. I'm a truck driver with 5 years or so experience. I've mostly done W-2 company jobs with good perks. I often hear you talk about the 1099 master race. I want to get your opinion if it would be worth it to be a 1099 driver. To me, it always seemed that it isn't because of the decent benefits mid-sized to large carriers give you. Okay, we'll stop right here. Yes. I'm just going to answer your question. I know I'm for the 1099 superior race. But that's largely if you're working in an office and you have to do with Karens and HR. Truck drivers, they're a different breed. You're out there on your own. And just the truth be told, it's basically economies to scale, or the economics of scale, where you get these large carriers, they can streamline and spend so much less per driver on overhead than if you had to do it all yourself. All right. So if you're going to be doing the accounting and the contracting and the sales, that's time, man. Time you're not getting back, and time you got to factor into, like, what are you making per hour? And so, yes, maybe you'd negotiate a larger per mile compensation, or however you guys are compensated. But it's really hard to beat economies to scale. Not to bore you guys with economic philosophy, but companies are really efficient at times. I mean, they're really, look at McDonald's, like their per cost per Big Mac or cheeseburger or whatever is nothing. And they are able to turn that around. They have got the system down. And on top of it, these large carriers or large companies in general, no matter how mismanaged and all that, there's usually generations of not, I wouldn't say wisdom, but or expertise, certainly that though too, but best practices, they've honed it out, they've streamlined it, and the individual is just going to have a hard time making a comparable income. So much so to the point that I would say they probably balance out. And then based on my banking experience, like we had I ran into four semi-truck drivers, and they all lost money because, and they were dumb. You don't sound dumb because you use paragraphs. It just doesn't, I hadn't seen it. They didn't do accounting. They didn't have good accounting controls. They bought a truck that was going to have a ton. Always there was something breaking down on the truck. What'd you buy? 20-year. You're like, you bought a 20-year truck? Oh, let's lend on that, said the bankers, who two of which are dead, and the other one whose wife I would totally fuck, not only because she's hot, but to get back at him. But he's now defunct and he's a miserable failure. It's great. I should look him up. I should look him up again. It's good to check in on him every couple of years. But my experiences with the independent contract truckers, they all lost money. They all went bankrupt. And it was largely because of things you probably wouldn't do: bad accounting controls, bad negotiation, lack of work ethic, and wives who did not know how to do accounting. Woman does that, dang there. By the way, this was in Wyoming, so it shouldn't be a shock. My woman does that. She also my sister. Wyoming. Aaron, do you hate Wyoming? Yes, I do. Yes, I absolutely do. But aren't they Republicans? Doesn't matter. Stupid is stupid. I don't goddamn go. Never mind. So I know you have this desire to become, 1099, be your own boss. Look at this another philosophical perspective. How are you not your own boss? Like, you drive the truck. I mean, how much interaction do you actually have with your boss? Like, and what is it? Pick up that and drag it over there. Probably don't even talk to your boss. Probably all on your phone. Oh, I got to pick up this load here. Da, da, da. You don't see your boss like, I didn't like the type of plaid shirt you were wearing. Look, give you another example why trucking isn't synonymous with 1099 superior race. I had a boss, one of which is dead, complain to me about the shading of my charts. Because, I make charts that's not always in color. So you have to you do a slightly different tone of gray, or you maybe put a pattern, checker pattern. So you could visually delineate the data I was trying to convey. I don't like this color of gray. It's like, yeah, you know what? You really do need a bullet in your head, and so do all your children, because holy shit, those genes don't need to be propagated. Now, does it? I didn't say that, but that's what I thought at the point in time. You don't have to deal with that. Pick it up, drag it over there. Maybe they clock your speeding, although I guess you just set cruise control, right? Yeah. I always do try to I feel bad for the truckers, though. Some of you guys drive for shit, by the way. Holy cow. But I usually he's trying to get in. I'll flash my lights, give him the thing, he'll come in and move over and go over. But then there's some truckers where I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, what the fuck? But my point is, most 98% of your minutes are not dealing with a boss. It's just listening to the Clary podcast, chilling out, tuning in world-class bullshitters, maybe Rich Cooper, maybe Rollo Tomasi, maybe Fresh and Fit. I don't know who would listen to those gay guys, but maybe you're a homosexual. Maybe you want to listen to Fresh and Fit. Like, what is the latest in gay technology? Somebody send that to him. So I understand. Yeah, you want to become 1099, but do you have to? What are you going to get? Okay, so you're paid regularly by a financially stable employer, and you don't have to hustle. You don't have to huckster. You just get paid and drag it here, drag it there. If you're self-employed, 20% at least of your time, extra time, is going to be managing the company, setting up an LLC, bank accounts, trying to get business. No, I wouldn't do it. I've also been somewhat hesitant to take the plunge to 1099 due to not having enough knowledge on how to do taxes or knowing an accountant that deals with truckers. I assume it would be worth to make an LLC and just pay myself a salary. No, you got to get an S-Corp LLC, which you should hire Chad Elkins for if you were going to go down that route. But you would definitely set up at minimum an LLC so you can have an official legal business, separate legal entity in case people want to sue the company, not you. So it would be, but I'm just advising against doing that in general. As you mentioned, and perhaps save the rest to eventually buy my own truck, etc. I guess what I'm asking you is for your economic opinion on which would be better in the long run, and if I can actually earn more money by maximizing tax write-offs from 1099 that I do not get to do in a W-2. Well, you're pitting the economic efficiency of a large, streamlined organization, essentially selling a commoditized service, truck driving, against whatever marginal tax write-offs you would get. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know what you could really write off in truck driving. I mean, okay, gas, repairs, insurance. But I mean, there's not a lot. I'll give you a little bit of an insight to compare the two different industries. Truck driving is a legitimate industry. My industry, podcasting, not so much. I don't really get what? Really? We make money? But when I go out and I have a meetup at a cigar lounge, okay, I can write off all the cigars and booze and food or whatever else we have because that's the meetup. That's the nature of podcasting or being kind of a micro internet celebrity, I guess. Truck driving doesn't have that amorphous nature to it. It's I drive truck. Well, is it related to you driving truck? No. Well, you can't write it off. So, I mean, you'll get your computer, you get to write off your cell phone bill, I guess, and your cell phone and TurboTax software. mechanic repairs, but it's not like, oh yeah, I'm wheeling and dealing. Like, for example, I'll give you another perfect example. When I went to Miami, that was a tax deductible expense for me. Like, oh, didn't you get to have fun? Yeah, it was pretty fun. Got to hang out with Fresh and Fit. Got to hang out with Rolo, Donovan Sharp. But it was work. Don't get me wrong, it was work, but we could write it off at least. I don't know if you could go to a trucking convention. That's tax deductible. Like, oh, this is the latest and greatest. And they always, by the way, I have a buddy who's a dentist. And they never have dental conventions in boring places. Like, we're going to Arkansas. No one ever has a convention in Arkansas. It's like Vegas, Paris, Milan. Like, oh, okay, is that tax deductible? And it is, because they put up a front. Like, oh, here's the latest in, enamel technology or composite materials instead of silver fillings. A buddy is a dentist, and so she kind of tells me the inside. And you're kind of like, oh, and how long did that last? Like 3 hours. And then what'd you do for the remaining? Oh, yeah, we went to the beach and we went and gambled in Monaco and all that. Like, oh, okay, all right. You don't have that, I don't think, in trucking. I mean, you'll have your meetings and your conventions, but I don't think you're not as libertine, I guess, to have as many tax deductions as other industries because it's so streamlined. Also, if I could get comparable health, vision, dental coverage don't you pay cash for dental? Floss your teeth, brush your teeth, pay cash. That's what I do. Cheaper rate through an employer. Most of the 1099 trucking outfits are smaller trucking operations and thus misclassify you as a 1099 for money/tax purposes. It exists in a gray area because you're still an employee to them and have to abide by the company rules. Yeah, it's the same as a W-2 driver, right? Your skill is very commoditized. Granted, us truckers have more freedom than the regular wage slaves. No diversity training, no other Do you actually have diversity training? How many people do you run into? You're driving. What does it matter? I guess the guy pumping my gas is an American Indian. What? I know. The worthless Gen X spinsters and Karens of the HR world have to feel valuable. So the comparison is simply monetarily. Let's assume I'd be averaging 3,000 weeks, blah, 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 blah. And you give me some numbers, dude. I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't have to do the analysis. And here's another thing you can do. I'll tell you to do this. Go to your library and get Risk Management Associates. It used to be Robert Morris Associates. Now it's Risk Management Associates. RMA. Pull up the data on your average contractor trucker and look at what their profit margins are. And there's your answer. But I can almost guarantee you, and I hope that we go into the super chats. Hopefully Alex is around. He'll probably tell you the same thing. I don't know. Maybe he knows a secret loophole. But yeah, I would just say go work for the carriers. Twin Force Fusion, 20 Canadian dollars. In 2016, 2 years before divorce, I purposely went from AS07 to an AS03, 118,000 versus 74,000. No alimony paid. I can move up again, but not sure if ex-wife can come back. She makes $75K. Love the low stress of an AS03. Is that like a Canadian military rank? I'm glad you didn't have to pay alimony. Men can get by so much. It's not worth making the money, guys, if you got to shell it out to your ex-wife. Joe Jones, $10. Trucking companies depend on immigration to keep meat in the seat. 24 years in, Joe is a trucker. I can say 1099 is not superior here. Work local by the hour, health insurance, 401k, etc. I've seen friends lose $90,000 plus going through 1099. There you go. That's what I experienced in banking, Joe. And Alex, here we go. Alex, cons, you end up with competing with company trucks. So the company wants to keep the higher paying freight if they have to pay 67% or whatever the contract is versus paying $1,500 a week for the company driver. I don't know what that means. Let me look for Alex's comments. Here you go. Alex Patino, you're better off buying your truck and leasing it to a company. The pros is that all the accounting is done and you get paid on time. Yeah, so you're basically an asset manager there. Okay, I didn't think about that. Cons, competing with company trucks, so the company wants to keep the higher paying freight if they have to pay 67%. Hopefully that makes sense to the client. Alex Patino again. So pretend that there's a load going 2,000 miles. It pays 18,000. So if an independent driver gets 67%, that's $12,060 paid to the independent truck, while the company driver might get paid $1,500 a week. And Alex, again, I wrote a bunch of stuff in the comments and thus far have not been to diversity training at all. Good, man. Good. I haven't been to diversity training either. Like, I'm hoping, like, I never have to go work a real. I will go on welfare. I will not go through diversity. I'm not. Nope. I don't even think I'll interview with HR. It's like, no, you either give me a job, I'll go live off. Hey, Uncle Joe, go to give us some money. Let's go. All right, there it is. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.